Hi, my name is Aditya,
My name is Anish.
My name is Rupak.
and today we are here to present you our junior seminar project, which is the Intelligent Grading Assistant. We would like to thank our professor, Dr. Zhang, for this opportunity. And talking about the roles in the team, I am the backend lead.
I am leading AI and ML.
And I did some front-end work.
Next slide, please.
We can move on to problem and goal. The problem that we recognize in the community or in academic sphere is that there's a lot of handwritten exams still being carried out, and it's very time consuming to grade that. So we thought that it'd be a good idea to create an AI model that would do most of the handiwork. It will scan and parse into a digital format, and we will use our AI model to grade the exam. And we also have added some additional features such as plagiarism to detect if there's some cheating in the exams and so forth and so on.
So yeah, talking about the tech stack for this project, we built the front end using React. So basically, the front end is a simplistic version of a dashboard sort of platform where users upload images of the exams, and that front end is connected to the back end built on Fast API, which is built on Python. So basically, the Fast API server handles the logic and talks to the database. And for the database part, we use PostgreSQL for saving the grades for the students. And the other database that we used is Redis for plagiarism check. So that is another feature that we have incorporated into our project. And also talking about the AI connections, since the AI models were too big to run on our laptops alongside the server, we hosted them separately and connected via an API. Next slide, please. Rupak.
Yeah, thank you. For the front end, what we built, we wanted to build a very clean interface that would allow them to upload some documents as exams files, and then we will do backend processing and display some of the statistics in the front end. You can see some of the views here, but we will go through it later on as well in our demo. For the front end, we used React and yeah, we can see in the demo later.
Yeah, and for the AI part, we started off initially very ambitious to train our own custom model, and we also synthesized our own custom data set. But then halfway through, we realized that our custom model would overfit and could not generalize to a usable use case. So we pivoted towards transfer learning. So for OCR model, we use TR-OCR open source model, and we fine tune it with our small data set for handwriting recognition. And this output would be passed to LLM. And for LLM, we fine-tuned Phi 3 mini model, and we trained it on questions and answers that we prepared ourselves. And the output of the LLM would be a grade score out of 10, and the feedback of the AI on that student's answer. Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, talking about the plagiarism feature, so basically we used a sentence transformer model. So this is a type of AI that takes a student's written answer and converts it into vectors. So basically what goes on behind the scenes is that these vectors act like a digital fingerprint of the meaning of the sentence. And let's say if two answers that say the same thing, even with different wording, will produce vectors that are very close together. And storing and comparing with Redis. So basically, the Redis would not just act as a database, it has special tools for like comparing these specific vectors. So once we generate the vector for each answer, we store it in Redis. And based on like the distance between, any two vectors, Redis tells us how similar these two answers are, which is basically a use case for the plagiarism feature. And that is how we are going to implement this plagiarism feature into our project. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so to touch a little bit more on the training process, we initially tried to train on our own local computer, but it was taking us hours and with very little progress because these models are very large in size. So we migrated them to Google Colab for training process. And the problem we faced then was how to connect remote collab with our local server. And then we found out this Gradio library, which acts as a tunnel between them. So Gradio will create a public link that our backend can connect to. And then this backend will expose APIs that in turn frontend will connect with.
We can start with the challenges. From the front end standpoint, one problem that we recognized was different system uses different kind of naming schemas, and backend has its own. So while we're trying to connect, we had some issues with the camel case as well as the lowercase the Python uses. Uh, so yeah, that was one of the problems that I faced, Aditya.
Yeah, so talking from a backend perspective, there were, I mean, a few bottlenecks, but important one being the setting up the Redis. So what happened was like the standard Redis download didn't support the vector search that we intended to incorporate into our project. So ultimately, what we had to do was to like figure out how to use a specific Docker container called like Redis stack to get the feature working for our project.
And for AI ML part, one of the problems I encountered was model hallucination. So we were able to teach model what kind of output to generate. That would be the feedback and the score, but we never taught it when to stop. So I fixed this by adding special end token or the stop token to our training data. And yeah, that fixed the hallucination problem for us.
One thing I also learned is that we have to keep a strict contract with front end whenever you are cooperating with someone in this kinds of projects. It's important that we keep in touch beforehand the structure that we're going to use. Yeah.
And yeah, so another thing that we learned is that we learned that we cannot just like blindly trust the system to be perfect. It is because like initially the logic that I built in this project flagged honest students for plagiarism. So let's say some student used a definition, a formal standard definition from a textbook, and let's say another student used the same thing, which in theory would not be regarded as a plagiarism, but ultimately what the system would do is like flag these students into like using the same answers. So this was a challenge that we ran into. And the project also taught me that the automation has limits. Like tools like this should only assist the instructor and not make final decision for them, because it wouldn't make like intended decisions, just like the example that I gave. And yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah, and I particularly learned a lot regarding importance of data, and not always model architecture is not enough. And no matter how strong your architecture or the code itself is, if you don't have data, then you cannot make the application work. And we faced this because we had very less amount of images to train our own custom model. With augmentation and all, we could get up to 1,000 images, but that was not enough to generalize the handwriting recognition. And before moving on with the presentation, I would like to demo the application at this point. So I have it running in my local computer right now. And apart from this server, we also have Google Colab running. So this was the Gradio we talked about earlier, and this exposes an public link which you can go through, and this is what backend will eventually connect to. And this is connected with the LLM model that we fine-tuned. Let me try out one question and answer example. And if I just say this main software of the computer, let's just leave like that. And the score I got was 4 out of 10. And the feedback I got is this is a very simple answer. And this notebook contains all the training steps we had. And as shown in the reports that we submitted, these are the training curves. And if I go over to our front and back end infrastructure, this is the server that connects with the Gradio and exposes the endpoints to grade the answer after it has received the transcription. And it also exposes the health endpoint to check the health of the API. And main.py is the backbone of this infrastructure, and Aditya primarily worked on this, and it exposes different endpoints for our application. such as passing in the image and getting that to OCR and then translating that output to LLM and just the entire pipeline. And we have front-end components, which Rupak primarily worked on, and it has different React components for different features. And I think upload exam is the main component of our application. And to show you the application itself, we first begin with dashboard. Let me restart the server so that we can start fresh. Yeah, and we begin by creating an exam. So for this to just test, let me create an exam named midterm operating system. Let's just say John. We can have some due date for the exam. And for now, I'm just uploading exam with only one question. Let's make it quiz instead of midterm. And what is operating system? Now, once I have created the exam, I can upload the student's answer, handwritten exam submission. Now this will process the image and run through all the pipeline we have created. And we can view results from here, and we only got 20% for this. So this is the transcribed text from OCR, and because our OCR is still not perfect, we can see some errors over here. And this is the output we get from LLM, and it says this is incomplete answer, which is true. And to demonstrate the black feature, let me upload the same question twice, the same answer twice. And let's process again. It will take a while because the models are pretty big in size. And it says flag detected, and we can go over to flag detection dashboard and view details. And it matched with this student's copy. And the match text was the whole answer itself because I uploaded the same image twice. And you can either confirm or dismiss the case from here. And you also have the authority to modify any grade if you want. And finally, let me show you how the whole exam with multiple questions will work. And I have prepared an exam paper before this demo. Mm, so for this test, I had three different questions. What is the difference between a process and trade? The other question was, what does context switching mean? And the last question was, explain semaphore. We save the exam and we have to tick this feature to extract answer boxes. And this was our custom final examination. And the answer was handwritten, as we saw in the image. And if we view results, let's see. The answer for this was a process has its own memory and resources. Let's see the transcription. We have a little bit error from transcription because of the less availability of custom data for fine tuning. And yeah, we have LLM score for each one, and overall this examination got 90%. Now let me go back to the slides.
So yeah, there's definitely more room for improvement. For example, with the hosting part, as you could see, right now our AI relies on the temporary collab link. Ideally, we would want to host this on a permanent server. And we also need like more data to train our plagiarism checker on like more past exams so that it gets more accurate over time. And Also, another thing that we can improve on would be the AI so that it points out exactly where the mistake is, rather than just giving us a summary about like what the answers are and all the necessary details regarding that. And yeah, that's all we have for the project.